Do you think on-site renewables are actually possible with the passive house? Are they compatible with the passive house design?
Yes, of course we are. You always can add renewable energy to any type of building. And what you see, if you have a passive house which has reduced the demand for energy to a very low level, the fraction which you can get from renewables will be much higher than in a normal building. And this is one of the reasons we turned to these efficiency measures, because when you try to build a house which is supplied by on-site renewable, if you really try to do that, you will see this is a very tough task. Because even in UK during winter, there's not much solar energy available, so you end up with very huge collectors, and still it doesn't match. So that was the reason why we decided to look on how to reduce the overall energy use, and that's what can work very well together if you want to do that. Yes.
The question was also aimed at, we have seen some of the designs in the UK where the requirements for renewable energy have actually gone to the extent of changing the design. So it's actually difficult to pass passive house because this is what we're seeing. And I mean, I think that was, would you care to comment on large monopitch south-facing roofs where it's difficult to get any glazing in? That was the
so we always have to keep track of that the main purpose of a building is not to save energy or to create energy, but to be a place where people live. And so to substitute a south-facing area, which might be the nicest place in a room, by having it covered by solar collectors, will at the end not be a model for good quality of life. It's just an architectural thing, or the main purpose why you build buildings is to have a high quality of life, and the quality of life is somehow better in a room that has a south-facing window. So we have to keep track of these things, of course, no questions. But it's not a passive house. Again, even the buildings are not built to save energy. Again, this is so the passive house is not the main thing why you build a building. The main thing is good quality of life for people, and you always can build that as a passive house if you want, which might not be possible with lots of the other solutions, which have much higher restrictions to. If you look on solar energy, of course, you need for solar energy, you need south-facing areas, and that could be tough in an urban environment. Could be really tough.
Well, what's your opinion of zero carbon buildings or zero carbon targets for buildings?
Well, you always can have a lot of targets, but I don't understand why a building has to be zero carbon, because if we have a very, very low consumption compared to what we have now, this can be a sustainable solution. And if we reach a sustainable solutions, why should we go farther than that? That could be really expensive. So if there are convincing solutions, no question, but you have to come from a convincing solution and not from a target that at the very moment, I think this target will create very, very expensive solutions, which are not needed, where you could use the money better to invest in a wind generator or in a biomass plant or whatever.
Or large scale one, you mean? Invest in a larger scale than on-site.
Yeah, or even small scale. Even a small scale wind generator might be more reasonable than a zero energy home. There might be new solutions coming up, so we shouldn't fight against good solutions. That's okay. If there is a good solution, use it. But as far as I've seen, it becomes more and more difficult to reduce in a home, to really reduce it to zero. Of course, you can calculate a lot of things, but if you are honest about the results, if you really try to get a zero energy home, my experience so far is that grows and costs tremendously. So I wouldn't recommend to do that.
Is that why in PHPP you report energy generated on site from, say, photovoltaics separately to the building target?
No, but that is, in fact, to be honest, based on a German specialty. We could change that for other countries. The German specialty is that the photovoltaics, there is a big subsidy for photovoltaics. It's that high that it's almost no investment in photovoltaics. So my decision was, this is high enough a incentive for photovoltaics, and that's good. I'm not against it. That's okay. But now you shouldn't substitute other measures which are reasonable by photovoltaics, because if the photovoltaics is just subsidized by the state, it shouldn't be in a competition with, say, insulating of a building. So I want that to have reported on a different sheet.
Understand that, thank you. Yeah.
So that's the reason. So if it's different in Britain, of course, as long as somebody has to pay for the photovoltaics and has to pay for insulation, and if that is a fair competition, that's okay. You can play that. But if the subsidies are that high, like they are in Germany, we have to avoid that the reasonable things are not done just because the people think we